Hello, everybody. Yechi Adonenu, Mareinu Venu Malachim Mashiach Leon Ved. We're continuing now. We just finished Parshas Devarim. Now we're going in Parshas Va'eschanan, Tafshin and Aleph, 5751 or year 1991. It's from the talks of Shabbos Parshas Va'eschanan, Shabbos Nachamu, which is on the 16th of Menachem-Av, 5751, 1991. And we're translating from this book, which my friend wrote. It's an excellent book, and we have the original over here, and this is the original that was printed. We got permission from the people who publish it, and this is the English translation. And we're starting it's on page 31 over here. We're starting on the new Sikha. Okay. It's known that and we're going to talk about over here in general. There's a concept that the Torah was given, the Torah portion was given, and there's also now we have a Haftorah. We read something from the prophets, and this was always tied into generally to the inyonim, the matters that were discussed in the Torah. There's always a similarity. It's based; they have to be the same thing in many ways. It's like a continuation of specialness. So the Rebbe is going to talk about that. But however, in the 7 weeks. That after Tisha B'Av until I think Rosh Hashanah or till Yom Kippur, I'm not sure. That these 7 weeks are called the 7 weeks of consolation, and each of the Haftorah talks about how Shemet is comforting the Jewish people. So the Rebbe will explain here. We'll see inside that even though the Haftorah is not based on something from the Torah itself, but it's based on something but it's still, the Rebbe says, because everything's by Shkacha Pratis, the Rebbe brings down the Shla, therefore it has to have a special connection. So before we start, let's start with the Niggin. Sheyebane Beis HaMikdash b'mheira b'yameinu. Sheyebane Beis HaMikdash b'mheira b'yameinu. Yedal Ashrai Ad Masai Yedal Ashrai, Ad Masai Yedal Ashrai, Ad Masai Yedal Ashrai, Ad Masai Sheyebane Beis HaMikdash b'mheira b'yameinu. Sheyebane Beis HaMikdash b'mheira b'yameinu. The Jews cry out, Ad Masai, the Jews cry out, Ad Masai, the Jews cry out, Ad Masai, until when? Okay, guys, let's start. Okay. So it is known that even the Haftorahs of the 7 consolations, we read the Haftorahs from the consolations from Yeshaya, right after Tisha B'Av until Rosh Hashanah, which are in accordance with the time of the year and when they occurred, unlike the Haftorahs of the other Shabbosos of the year, which are similar to what the Parshas are about. Also, they have a connection to the Parshas, what the Parsha is about, since the events occur at the specific times of the year, in accordance with the time of the year and what occurred then. Also, as the Rebbe says, also are related to the Parsha of the week. As the Shla says, just like I explained it before, that the specific occasions of the whole year, they all have a connection to those particular parshas of the week in which they occur, since everything is done with a Shkacha Pratis, since everything is fixed and intelligently by Hashem. And in our case, we have Shabbos Nachamu. It's called, what's mean Nachamu? It's a Shabbos of consolation. Called so after the beginning of the Haftorah, it says Nachamu Nachamu Ami, comfort my people. That the beginning and the head, which includes all the details of the seven consolations, all the 7 weeks of consolation of all the 7 Haftorahs, is connected with the Parshas Va'eschanan, Nachamu for Va'eschanan, which is always read on the Shabbos after Tisha B'Av. So the Rebbe is saying here, there's a concept he said, that the Rosh includes everything. The head, everything is included in the head. Rosh Hashanah, it says, the whole year is included Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Chodesh, it said, the head of the month. So there's a concept that head includes everything. So therefore it says that this is the first of the seven Haftorahs of comfort, so therefore it includes everything. And it starts out with the idea of comfort my people. So this includes everything that's coming after it. The focal point of the explanation as for why the Haftorah of Nachamu is for Va'eschanan is that Nachamu Nachamu Ami is a double consolation. It says twice we should comfort us for the loss of the first base of Mikdash and the second base of Mikdash. So Hashem is going to comfort for both great losses. Is the consolation of what is the consolation? We're going to have the third base of Mikdash and the third redemption. So as soon as Hashem takes us home, we can be consoled all the terrible things that happened before, and we'll be okay. Which is an eternal base of Mikdash and an eternal redemption will be forever, and with no exile after it. And this is the concept that's also related to Va'eschanan. It's a similar concept. They say the Rebbe is going to talk about how it relates to the infinite to Va'eschanan, the prayer of Moshe to enter the Holy Land, as it's known that had the Jewish people merited the entering of the land. As it's known that had the Jewish people merited the entering of the Jewish people into the Holy Land and the building of the base of Mikdash from Moshe, it would have already been done immediately. The eternal base of Mikdash, the eternal redemption. And we said many other places also. It says that we really should have gone right away, but there were side issues. But if we'd merited through Moshe Rabbeinu, we'd be right now in the base of Mikdash already for thousands of years. However, now we're on paragraph 2. This is page 31 of the bilingual. So we're in paragraph 2. However, in Parshas Va'eschanan, it is also and mainly emphasized the request of Moshe to enter the Holy Land that was not fulfilled, as was written in the verse, and Hashem was angry with me because of you, and you didn't listen to me. So what happened there is Moshe Rabbeinu, that the well dry up, the well from Miriam drew up, and the rock that the well was in, that came out of it, went, and it wasn't working. So Hashem said, Moshe Rabbeinu, speak to the rock. When you speak to the rock, the water will come out, and everything will be okay, because the Jews are dying from thirst. So Moshe Rabbeinu speaks, looks at the rock. He says, Hashem, speak to the rock. So he started speaking to the rock. So Hashem somehow made it that the rock, he spoke to the wrong rock. The other rock went someplace. The real rock he was supposed to speak went to hit itself. And then, so Moshe Rabbeinu says, well, the last time I did this is the beginning of Jews in the desert. Hashem said me to hit the rock. I hit the rock, and the water came out. So Moshe Rabbeinu is seeing all these people there. He says, maybe I have to hit the rock. I talked to it. So when he went to hit the rock that he supposed to hit jumped in front of him, and the water came out. And Hashem was very upset. He said, because you didn't listen to me, because you're such a level, such a holy tzaddik, and you didn't listen to me, and you didn't sanctify myself, because if you just spoke to the rock and the rock gave water, everybody would say, listen, the rock listens to just when Moshe Rabbeinu speaks for me, when spoken to. And so how much more so I should listen. But now that you had to hit the rock, it's not as a big Kiddush Hashem. So therefore Moshe Rabbeinu Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, you're not going to go into the land of Israel because of this. So this is what we're talking about. So Moshe Rabbeinu is going to Hashem in this week's Parsha and saying, Hashem, please, you're Hashem, and you can make any decisions you want. Please let me go in. And he's praying and praying, Ad Masai, until how long do we have to be in the Golus? So that's what we're talking about. Let's go back inside. Okay. Okay. Number 2. However, in Parshas Va'eschanan, it is also and mainly emphasized the request of Moshe to enter the Holy Land. To enter the Holy Land was not fulfilled, as written explicitly in the verse. And Hashem was angry with me. Well, Hashem was mad with Moshe Rabbeinu because of you, and you didn't listen to me. To the extent that Hashem said to him, do not speak to me anymore about this matter, and ascended to the top of the hill. So Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem got upset and said, don't talk to me, leave me alone. And for you will not pass over this Jordan. In other words, he prayed and pushed God, so to speak. We can speak about God. It was backed up, and God said, leave me alone, don't talk to me. You're not going to the land of Israel. Stop praying to me. What you should tell Yeshua, you should command Yeshua, and he should lead them into inheriting the land, all the Jewish people. meaning that in the Parshas Va'eschanan is emphasized that the ultimate entering of the land of the Jewish people into the Holy Land was not through Moshe, but rather through Yeshua, after which there was a destruction of the Beis Hamikdash and exile, and was written further on in the Parsha that when you will bear children, and the Torah is reading, that this is the Torah reading from Tishbas. The Rebbe explaining here, we see that Moshe Rabbeinu, if he take the Jews, it would be infinite, but since he didn't take the Jews, then Yeshua took the Jews, and eventually built the Beis Hamikdash, but it was destroyed. We went into Galus after this. How does this fit with the content of the Torah concerning bringing an end to the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash and the exile through which the double consolation, which will be in the eternal redemption and the eternal Beis Hamikdash? The Rebbe is saying here, it makes no sense. Because if we're talking about Hashem is going to comfort us, this whole Va'eschanan is Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to go to Shleiman, Hashem said, forget it. You're not getting, you have to stay. You're not crossing over. The Jews have to go back in the Golos and live through the darkness. I said, so how can you compare the two? Okay. And although it is seemingly possible to explain that in Parshas Va'eschanan there is an emphasis on the need for double consolation of the true and complete redemption as a result of the destruction and exile sins, and the entering of the Jewish people into the Holy Land was not through Moshe, that we just said above. So it makes sense to say this is double consolation itself is not only the need for it is not only is the need for it, it's connected to the content of Parshas Va'eschanan, as we will explain. So the Rebbe is saying over here that not only that Hashem, you could say one of the reasons that Hashem says is the Haftorah is that in the Torah portion itself, it talks about this terrible thing. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to bring the Jews into the complete redemption, and Hashem didn't let him. As a result, there was destruction in the Beis Hamikdash in terrible times. So it says, so maybe that's why the consolation is to console us for the terrible times that God led us through. But the Rebbe says not only that, but the Rebbe says also we have to say that it's a connection to the content of Va'eschanan itself. There's a connection not with just that it's making good the wound, healing the hurt and pain, but there's something special with it, a consolation that if we look in the Parsha, we're going to understand that the consolation is also talking about Gula and redemption. Now we're on number 3, page 33. And this will be understood by prefacing the explanation of the content of the first Haftorah of the 7 consolations. Comfort ye, my people, the double consolation. Nachamu Nachamu Ami. This is what we're talking about. The relationship of the Torah to the concept of redemption is that in addition to the general idea of consolation, Nachamu, comforting us, is also on the account of the concept of twofold consolation. Not only is Hashem that's going to comfort us and bring the redemption, but it's a twofold consolation. Why? As the Rebbe is going to talk about the idea of two. As is known that twofold is related to and signifies the concept of redemption. As it says in the Midrash, 5 letters were doubled, and they are all referred to the redemption. So we see, and there are different sentences in the Torah that they talk about, and all these sentences, there are double letters in each one. So he says we have Kaf as one of them. Like it says that Avraham, forefather, was redeemed from Ur Kasdim, and it said to him that for your own good, it says Lech Lecha, you should go from your land. So Lech Lecha has Lamed and Lamed in it. So Lech Lecha, the words are the same, Lech Lecha, that together, that has to do with Hashem was telling Moshe Rabbeinu he's leaving Galus, he's leaving and going to Eretz Yisrael. Then in Mem, there's a double Mem and a double Nun and a double Pei, which it is our ancestors that were redeemed from Egypt, and it says, remember that I will remember you, Pakod Nifkadidi, and so there with the level of a Pei. Double, the Rebbe just giving examples where it says double repeating of the letters have to do with redemption. Then you have the Tzaddik, where it says in the future that Hashem will redeem the Jewish people in the future, at the end of the 4th empire that enslaved the Jewish people, and it is said, a man who is referred to Tzemach, and from him, his leadership, he shall flourish both Yisbach. So the Rebbe is bringing different pasukim and different things where it repeats the letter twice, and that letter twice has to do with the sentences. These concepts are talking about redemption. So the Rebbe said we may say that the connection of twofold to redemption are also alluded to the words of the verse twofold l'shuasi. L'shuasi, literally for say justity. I mean, I guess to be smart. I guess I don't know. Shushia is also an idiom for Yeshua, salvation. So in other words, it says over there that there's be a twofold salvation. What is that? Number twofold. It says that twofold. What's mean twofold? And as for the simple explanation of this concept, we may say, so Rebbe is going to explain here about the idea of doubling. It's twofold, it's double. He says doubling doesn't just mean twice. It means continue. True doubling means you're always doubling. Like to the letter, like 2 to the letter 1, 2, 3, 4, ad infinity. So the true doubling goes forever. It doubles and doubles and doubles. It's not limited. So it says double, it's a twofold many times, is included in addition to 2 times so. The Rebbe explained also they're talking about what's double mean, and also and how does it fit into Gula. Also numerous times, or even a vast amount of times, including the ultimate numerous amount of in a boundless matter. It's called two forever ever, as we find in the exposition of our sages that the repetition of a term in the verse teaches us even 100 times. So over here, I looked it up in the Gemara. And the Gemara, they're talking about when a person when your neighbor loses its cow. There's a mitzvah in the Torah to return the lost item. So they said, what happened if its cow gets lost again? Do you have to go get it? It says, yeah, you have to continue. They say you have to go and get him again. And they explain over there in the Gemara that means even 100 times, even forever, you always have to go get him. So double means, explaining from the Gemara, that means forever, means much more than just 2. Which so we understand that's a great thing. So double, that means there are doubles to Geula, it's a level that reaches completeness. Which the intent of this is not to limit the obligation to say 100 times and no more, but rather also the vast amount of times, including the ultimate numerous amounts, which is alluded to in the ultimate completeness of 100, as our sages say that a person is obliged to say 100 blessings every day. So you're supposed to say 100 blessings. 100 also says, in which are included all the blessings, which are included all the blessings, godly illuminations, influence, and supernal influence, since the completeness of all matters is in the number of 10, the complete number, as each one of them is compressed of 10 times 10, that the number 10, then you have the number 100, and automatically is included in it. It's also encompassing the 10 in each one of hundreds. So then you have 10 times 100, and then you have, so each thing you have 10 in it, and then you have 10 times 10, 10 times 10, and then the number 1,000, which is comprised of the 10 again, because each one has 10. So 1,000, which comprises 10, which is 10 times 1,000. And then you have the number called Ravavya, which is 10,000, which included also Ravavya, which is a term from Riboy, numerous, including the ultimate numerous amount that it cannot be counted due to its abundance. Another Rebbe is saying that everything has it. Just like I was really thinking about, I don't know if this, we're talking about this, I was thinking about the computer. The computer basically is on and off. It's 2. There's 2. But the computer, it keeps on going more and more, and you can see that it runs the world. It changes things. It's infinite. It's the same thing, Rebbe, and it says double. It doesn't mean just 2. It means the power to double, to give birth, to continue forever. And of course, so therefore it says, and so we're trying to understand, it says Nachamu Nachamu, there's double comfort. So why does double has to do with redemption? So because it's complete, it's forever. And according to this, we can explain the relation, the connection of the twofold to redemption. Why double, twofold? For the concept of a numerous twofold, manifold, is characteristic of true and complete redemption. Why? Why is it forever and ever complete? For then will be revealed in the world the boundless godly light. In the terms of Kabbalah and Chassidus, the revelation of the infinite light, and therefore everything will reach its true perfection, beginning with the true perfection of the redemption and the base of Mikdash, and the eternal redemption, the eternal base of Mikdash, and beyond limits not like the first and second base of Mikdash and the first and second base of redemptions, which stood only in a limited amount of time, 410 years and 420 years. So therefore, the idea from the redemption has to be totally infinite, and therefore it's double, because double means it goes completely. The double means talking about the revelation of Hashem. Hashem will just reveal His light more and more and more to a level that's unbelievable, that everything's taken care of. So now we're on number 4. And we may say that the boundless of the true and complete redemption is more emphasized in the repetition of Nachamu Nachamu. And the Rebbe says, we may say, it's a new thing the Rebbe is bringing in the world. It's never brought before. So it's repeated twice. And we may say that the boundless of the true and complete redemption is more emphasized in the repetition of Nachamu Nachamu than in the 5 letters that were doubled. For all of them refer to redemption. He said earlier about, we're going to explain about here, there are 5 sentences in the Torah that double the language, and each one of this has to do with redemption. But only Nachamu Nachamu was the exact same word. Otherwise, they have different meanings. They're adding different things. They're different concepts. Regarding the repetition of Lech Lecha, that when Hashem told Avram to go out from where he was to the land of Israel, the 2 words have the same meaning. Lamed have the same letters, not the same meaning. Lamed and along a kaf. Yet they have very different meanings due to the difference in their words. So in Hebrew, without the vowels, they're the exact same letters, but how you put the vowels make it. Lech, lamed with the segel, and kaf with the shva is the term for going. Lech in Hebrew means to go. Lecha means to you. That's the lamed with the shva and the chaf with a kumetz. It means for your enjoyment and for your good. So it says you should go out of where the galus into Gula, into Eretz Yisrael, for Lech Lecha, for your good. For it is possible to say that this includes not only the good that will come as a result of his redemption, but also the enjoyment and the pleasantness of redemption from Ur Kasdim. So the Rebbe is saying not only is he going to go to this wonderful place, but he's going to be really happy that he's leaving this terrible place. So you can leave a terrible situation. You can be in a wonderful situation, but there's a special thing if you're just in a bad situation and you're leaving that to wonderful situation, that has something special in it. Now, regarding the repetition of Pokadidi, that Hashem will remember us, that the meaning of the 2 words is the same. The term for remembering, however, is different in their letters and their vowels. Pokad is the root of the word. Every Hebrew has a root. That's its root. Pokadidi is an action in the past tense, and similar pokad yochad in the future tense. That likewise is regarding the repetition of tzemek yismak. Tzemek is the root word, and yismak is action. In other words, one word is saying we remember, and then the other word is saying is remembering us. Is a verb. One is just the noun. It's the same thing. Tzemach is will grow forth. Yismak will be happy. There are 2 different levels. One is the root of the word, and one is talking the action that's happening. So each one has a different meaning to a certain way, not exactly the same. Whereas regarding the repetition of Nachamu Nachamu, which is our week's of Torah, there is no difference in the letters and the vowels of the repeated words. Both the words are exactly the same. The explanation of the advantage of the exact same word repeated twice, Nachamu Nachamu, comfort me, comfort, over the repetition of the 2 words that have a different meaning between them, like Lech Lecha, like we said before, that you should go, and Pokadid, I remember you. We may say, as the Rebbe said, what the Rebbe is explaining a new concept. So why is it Nachamu Nachamu something special? What's the difference between that and all the other language, all the other Lashons, languages, sayings of redemption? So the repetition of the word with a deviation from the first time, like Pokadidi. So when you have something repeated, but it's repeated in a little bit different than the first time, shows that there's different facets in the matter, or that there is another detail or particular aspect that wasn't included in the first, and therefore there's need for additional or clarification to elucidate to the deviation of how the repeated term was said from the first time. So in other words, that's why you repeat it differently, because this concept with redemption, however it is, redemption, now we're talking about levels of redemption, So the first one does not include everything in it. There are only certain aspects of redemption, and the second one includes other aspects of redemption. Or the Rebbe says the first one is redemption, the second one is explaining it, explaining what's happening so you understand it more clearly. But it's different. This means that in addition to strengthening the general manner of repeating, which talked that term, what repeating means salvation, the deviation in its repetition of the term emphasizes that there's different facets in the general matter which is distinct one from another. So the bringing of the redemption is a little bit different in perspective, how it's done in different ways. Whereas when the word repetition is exactly the same, like Nachamu Nachamu, like in our case, there are no different facets in the matter. Not any addition of a detail or a particular aspect that wasn't included in the first time. Only the concept is repeated for itself. This concept, Nachamu, is just repeated for itself. And the explanation of the difference between between them with regard to the concept to be on bounds, twofold manifest. The redemption in the repetition of poka bakadim, when you have when terms are changed, it is emphasized also that there are different facets in the redemption. In other words, Hashem, when Hashem redeems us, there are different revelations, different ways it's happening. And in general, the difference between the first redemption and the first base of Migdash and second redemption, second Bishop Mitzvah. I mean, each one has a virtue that the other does not have, and therefore it is not boundless in its true nature. Whereas the repetition Nachamu Nachamu is emphasized beyond bounds in a concept of redemption, boundless, twofold and true nature. The Rebbe is going to explain, but basically, when you don't have the exact same word, it's the same. That means they're different. Like we talked about the first and second base of Mikdash. The first base of Mikdash, the main thing we're going to explain. This was the level of how Hashem revealed Himself in more holiness. It had like the very holy things like the Armor Kodesh and many things were hidden, and that was the level where God Himself rested. That was the first base of Mikdash. And the second one lasted a longer time, so it affected the world more, but it didn't have the level of holiness. But each one had a lacking. But Nachamu, so therefore you could say that emphasizes when they're saying two different words. One emphasizes the first base of Mikdash, the special concept by it, and one emphasizes the second base of Mikdash. But Nachamu Nachamu just emphasizes the same thing twice. And the idea which we will appreciate, and this idea that we appreciate in the light of the words of the Midrash, that so how does it work? That they are our forefathers and the prophets, which Hashem sent to console the Jewish people, to go before Hashem and say, Master of the universe, they are not accepting consolations from us, as it says, O pain distressed one, not comforted. Hashem replies, so the Rebbe is talking about here, is bringing down in the Midrash, that the Midrash says that Hashem told the Jews, it's the forefathers and the prophets to go and tell the Jewish people that our redemption is coming. Everything is, Hashem was going to comforting us, and He's going to take us home, and everything's going to be okay. And He said there was so much pain, it said that they couldn't accept it. We see this, a very similar thing in the beginning of Sefer Shmos, when Moshe Rabbeinu came down and Hashem sent Moshe Rabbeinu and told the Jews, I'm going to take you out. They're all excited. And then he went to Pharaoh and told Pharaoh, and Moshe Rabbeinu showed them miracles and everything. He told Pharaoh that, Hashem came to me and you have to let us to go pray to God. And Pharaoh got so mad, and he said, these Jews are a bunch of lazy people, and so therefore they're just taking it easy, so therefore I'm not going to give them straw anymore. So how they had to do double work, and they weren't able to do it, and they were being yelled and screamed at, and instead of bringing redemption, it brought quite the opposite. So it says, so the Jews were not come, they wouldn't listen to Moshe Rabbeinu. So what did Moshe Rabbeinu do? So Hashem had to show Himself through all the miracles that He's the one taking him out. So similarly over here, it says that the Jews were in such pain and agony that when the prophets came and the Avos came, they weren't comforted. Hashem responds, and I and you shall go and comfort them. Indeed, that's what it means. Nachamu Nachamu Ami. It says, comfort my people, which can also be read, comfort her, Imi. If you take the words in Hebrew, Ami, and you change the nukuda, the vowels on it, that we put under the ayin achirek instead of a patach, which means together with me, and it's only proper that I myself shall go. Hashem says, I'm going to go and cover them because they're going to listen to me. So Hashem comes and shows his essence and says, Jews, it's time for your redemption. Everything's going to be okay. Listen to me. Be happy. We're going to the Gula Shlema. And we may say that this is the consolation of Hashem himself, is also alluded to in the repetition of Nachamu Nachamu. So the first thing the Rebbe tells us that Hashem is going to come, and he's going to come because the Jews were too stressed out to listen to the Hashem's prophets. And the second one he says is another very special thing, that when it repeats Nachamu Nachamu, that the concept is also alluded to in the repetition of Nachamu Nachamu, in addition to be read as Imi, together with me, that the repetition represents a boundless consolation, since the consolation is through Hashem himself, boundless in its true nature. So therefore, not only Nachamu Nachamu, that Hashem is going to bring us, is going to redeem us, that he himself is going to redeem us, that he's coming to redeem us, but the redemption will be in a way of unlimited Nachamu, unlimited comfort. What time is it? How many? Okay, guys, I think we're going to stop here. And it's Hashem Shishu Nachamu Nachamu Yechi Adoneinu Mareinu Venu Melchem-Av, that we should see this right away in front of our eyes now.